Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. We are the Jocks of All Trades podcast. We are running a special episode of Random Fandom this evening. We will be covering Marvel, but not a top five this time. Oh, no. We are going to talk about the announcements that were made at Comic-Con and kind of break down each movie, some of our theories, thoughts, opinions, everything that we were thinking of. And Kyle and I are going to bring that to you. But first, we're going to start out with our ads and sponsors. Fresh Cuts is a barbershop in Marion, Indiana, run by Caleb Kemper. It's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Caleb is usually open Mondays and Tuesdays. He got me looking right for my vacation. He's about to have me looking right for Kyle's wedding. I always make sure I get in there so I don't look like a hobo. But book with Caleb now at www.freshcutsbarbershop.com. Second up, we have Steve Wood Illustration. Dr. Wood is a good friend of mine. He does drawings of just about everything that you can think of. Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, hit movies, hit TV shows. I've seen him do Predator, Terminator, just kind of anything you can think of. Go to him, ask about it. I know his prices are different for, I think, customs versus what he's already done. I will probably have some by the end of the year, and that'll probably be some of my Christmas gifts I give out to people. Hint, hint. Because it's just kind of easy to give somebody something that they like, and he really does a great job as a professional artist for more years than I've been alive. Anyways, let's move on. The Culture Corner podcast used to be the Afro Latinos podcast. Culture Corner, by this point, I'm guessing will be up and running. I know that Aubin is in a litany of shows back to back for theater. So unsure when he'll be back, but it'll be him and his wife, Shaylin, that'll be running the Culture Corner, and it's going to be really rad. Make sure you guys are there. You'll see Aubin with us. Rules of the Frame is a movie podcast. A friend of mine, Connor, is one of the co-hosts, actually the guy that kind of runs it. He will be joining us for some of our episodes of Smashed Popcorn. He is a huge movie critic and soon will be professor of movies. So it'd be kind of cool to have that tagline and bring him in under that. But he's going to review some stuff with us. I know he and I have talked about John Carter. Kyle, have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Speaking of weird movies, A Thousand Wives of Weird. Billy has been with us multiple times. It's always a good time. I've laughed really hard every time that he's come on. They review not really B-list movies, but like C and D-list movies. They give you why they were made, why they like them. Lots of really good information. You can find them on Spotify. I think that's the only place that they are currently, but I think they're working on maybe rectifying that and could join us at some point in the future. That is all of our sponsors and friendcasts. Thank you guys so much for your continued patronage and for supporting us and being a part of our show. Our podcast, actually, which has been 3 years running, which is impressive. I'm proud, and I'm glad that you and I still do fun things, even though we don't live next to each other anymore. But that's okay. Let us move into one of our favorite things, the Marvel movies. Now, you guys may have seen this a couple weeks ago. Here was the picture from Comic-Con. It's been edited a little bit so you can see the picture a little bit better. But this is Phase 5. Now, before we jump into Phase 5, at this point, we still have I Am Groot, which will come out next week. She-Hulk, which will come out on the 17th. There's a Halloween special they haven't really announced anything about yet. Wakanda Forever is in November. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. We'll get What If Season 2 in 2023. And then that's really when Phase 5 kicks off. So what was your first reaction to this before we jump into the movies?
Well, I knew they were going to announce some stuff. I didn't think they were going to announce everything. I mean, they didn't announce everything. Like, they didn't announce who Fantastic Four is going to be and X-Men and whatnot. But they announced a crap load, and I was just scrolling Twitter and updating it as soon as every news came along, and I was just freaking out because this is exciting stuff. I mean, I think they said the end of Phase 4 officially is Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. and that was kind of the last of the information that we got. So we can talk about that last, but it is like the last of Phase 4, which is, it's weird. We can talk about that first though. But that trailer was amazing. That got me really hyped. I was a big fan of the first movie. Wasn't my favorite Marvel movie, no, but it was up there. And this one honestly just really sold me on the gravity of everything. And when we started out Phase 4, it was how Wanda was dealing with the aftermath of Endgame, and Infinity War. So that was kind of her like, oh, this is how I'm dealing with it. And the end of Phase 4 is how are we dealing with the loss of Chadwick Boseman, and how is Wakanda going to deal with the loss of their king? So it's very interesting how that all kind of worked out. But that was my biggest takeaway, but there's so many other little takeaways that have me equally as excited. So
yeah, do you want to talk about the Black Panther trailer for a minute? That was just
I do.
so much and so little.
Much stuff happened. Namor, Ironheart, Riri Williams is in there, and looks like they're going to go with an Aztec type of interpretation of Namor, which is interesting. Like, I'm not against it in any way. I think it's interesting. Aquaman has his own little flavor that's already been out, so you kind of want to differentiate a little bit too. Like, you don't want the same thing as Aquaman, so why not make it a little bit different? I'm sure that his sister will become the Black Panther at the end, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
I don't know who that was at the end. It could honestly be anybody with the multiverse,
Could be Namor.
Could be Namor. Honestly, it could. You never know. It could be Namor. It could be Killmonger, a different version of him. Or maybe he's alive still. It could be a different version of T'Challa. Like we don't know because the multiverse is insane.
What if it's he with the white gorilla clan up in the top.
M'Baku. Yeah, it could be for sure. Like that's definitely possible that any of those people could be the Black Panther. But that trailer, just from the music, from the gravity of losing Chadwick Boseman, and then the director Ryan Coogler was on stage and said he was like, Chad has these like massive hands that he'd always put on my shoulders, and he's like, I feel these same hands right now as I'm standing up here, and it's one of the biggest losses I think Marvel has had, for sure, and not just Marvel, just like a human in general. He seemed like a really amazing person.
Guy, yeah.
It's sad for sure, and I think that's going to bring a different level to Black Panther. But ultimately, I think it's just going to be like a really beautiful movie. The last movie was beautiful, just the way it was shot, cinematography. I mean, it looks like a better version of Avatar 2. Honestly, I saw that tweet and I just laughed out loud. It does. Like, it looks more interesting.
Yeah.
Real people. So
I think the most that I got from this, two things. One's a nerdism and one is about Chadwick. I'm glad they didn't just table it and say, let's just not even talk about it anymore. Yeah. Let's just go past it. No, part of the grieving process is to, and you see it with his mother, is to talk about it, is to go through it, is to be a part of it. And I just think that's so powerful that they're doing that.
It is. I agree. Movies that have that kind of power in it, like, no one wants to see Iron Man die in Iron Man 2. Like, that would be stupid and it wouldn't have happened. But, like, when you have stakes like that, even though this stake was unfortunate and unexpected, like, it makes the movie better to deal with emotional weight, because, like, emotion is a part of our real world too, and losing of loved ones, and like that makes just things more powerful and real and human when you have those things happen. So not just like every character survives everything and there's no real life consequences, like that stuff should happen as well. So I think that will make the movie like just really grounded and even deeper than I think it already would have been. So
right. And kudos to Ryan Coogler and to Marvel for not just pushing it aside and saying, oh, it'll be fine.
For sure.
The second takeaway for me, I loved reading the Fantastic Four comics as a kid. Dad had a lot of them, and I would read them again and again and again and again and again. Namor was one of my favorites. He's just so arrogant and awful and mean, and yet
Yes.
sometimes he's nice and helpful. And like you go through a constant balance of like, dude, I don't know how I feel about you. But just the comic accurate, the winged feet. I don't know if you saw that when the lady gives birth underwater, the winged feet were there, which is comic accurate. He's standing on a beach with his trident, and he has the green shorts and nothing else. I'm like, okay, that's comic accurate. I'm okay with it. So I like a lot of the comic accurate with how would we make this real in the real world, which is what they've done with the MCU. Like, how could this actually be possible? Not just, a dude builds an iron suit and suddenly he's incredible. No, it was trial and error. He had to learn. He had to figure out what to do. He had the bomb thing with the shrapnel in his chest. Like, it was all real world for everything. And I like that they're doing that with Namor because, you could do Atlantis, but again, you're going to do, like you said, you're going to end up doing DC with that, which, I mean, it is his true story, but still you're going to get the same results. So I like that they're being...
Namor existed first, right?
Huh?
I think Namor existed first.
Namor existed first, correct.
But it doesn't matter. But I just want to say that. But you're right. I think that will bring a different element to it. And in some superhero movies, you'll have the Namor of the worlds, or here comes this like opposing force. And you're like, well, why are they opposing? Well, I don't know. They just are. And I think, at least from a little bit of this trailer, I think there's going to be some like political kind of tension.
Good reason.
Yeah, like a legitimate reason. So like Namor's not going to be bad for the entire duration of his career at Marvel because that's not who he is as a character. So like I assume he'll be somewhat decent near the end or a little hint of it. But that's good because like Wakanda has cut themselves off from the rest of the world pretty much, right? So like that's one thing that you could say like, oh, well, there's a problem, like up until T'Challa became king, they were cut off from the rest of the world. So like I'm sure that has something to do with
what's happening.
Yeah. So I'm excited. It's gonna be really good and really, really powerful, I think. So
my body is ready.
Yeah. I'm after seeing all of this, I'm just like, just put me in a theater back to back to back with all this crap. I'll do it. I'll pee in my pants. I don't care, man.
I don't either. Yeah, I'll be there.
Let me just watch these. That was probably like the biggest thing that's happened because we got a She-Hulk trailer, and while that looked good, that's not like the gravity of Black Panther. But from the stuff that we haven't seen on YouTube, stuff that we've heard, like Guardians 3, that has me super excited. From the way that Chris Pratt talked about it, he said, I've been with this character for a while, and all my co-stars are amazing, and it just has like a really good send off, and they're gonna be sad to like step away from these characters. I think that's what you want, I've fallen in love with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's one of my favorite brands that Marvel has in terms of their movies. So like, I'm super excited from what I've heard, from what I've seen, and I know it's going to be a really good send-off for them. It saddens me to say that, but at the same time, their movies are just hilarious. So like, I'm going to laugh out loud too, while I probably cry. So I'm excited to do that. So that's going to be. We saw Adam Warlock, the guy that plays him.
Yes.
Who was used to Scrub in Chronicles of Narnia, which is hilarious. And the dorky kid in We're the Millers. That's the guy. The High Evolutionary, that's pretty cool. So it looks like we're going to explore a little bit of Rocket Raccoon's background.
Yeah, which will be really neat. So let's go in order. So the first one is going to be AntMan and the Wasp: Quantumania, which comes out February 17th, 2023. This picture was Cassie Lang with Dad and Wasp. Love it. I had to comment on this. I don't know if you got this too, but does the blue remind you of Kang?
Well, we know Kang is in it. I thought he was more purple than anything, but
he is. But he has like that blue face shield.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. I'm like, oh no.
I think in the trailer, we didn't get the trailer, but from what people have said, is that Scott Lang meets Kang face to face, or a version of Kang, and he says, like, you don't want to do this. I'm an Avenger. And then Kang says, oh, you're an Avenger? Have I killed you before? And I'm like, oh, jeez, Scott Lang might die in this movie. So it's good to introduce a new scary villain, which I think he's going to be. Like,
Is anything like in the comics? Yes.
yeah, like Thanos was scary for sure, but like what took away a little bit from him was that he's mostly CGI. Even though they did an incredible job of that whole thing, they did having like a real like,
Cable.
What's that?
You couldn't even tell it was Cable. So.
No, you couldn't. It was really well done. But to have like an actual like human person who's a really good actor, that I mean, he can make it even more terrifying, I think. So, yeah, that movie looks pretty insane. Bill Murray's in it. MODOK apparently is in it too.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, why?
It's so weird, but yeah, that'll be fun. It'll be definitely a darker turn from the first two. Has to be with Kang, so that'll be exciting for sure.
Yep. Next is Secret Invasion, which is coming in spring of 2023. I collected this comic line in middle school, Kyle. I liked Secret Invasion. I really did, especially when you found out all these heroes that you've enjoyed for years are all Skrulls. Like, which we've already set up. I think most people at this point, this isn't a spoiler, we're pretty sure that the Nick Fury that's on Earth is a Skrull, and Nick Fury has not been on Earth for a long period of time.
Right.
So I'm curious to see if Nick returns, if the Skrulls get busted, if the Kree come in and continue their fight with the Skrulls on Earth. Like, I'm concerned about what this is going to be. If it's going to follow the storyline, that's not going to be great. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting because I mean, I think Samuel L. Jackson is back, so that's good. He's always a fun character to watch.
Yeah.
Emilia Clarke is in it. I'm not sure who she's going to be, but she's a very good, talented actress, obviously, from what we've seen from Game of Thrones. And then Talos is back. Ben Mendelsohn. He was awesome. Like, I think he was one of the best parts of Captain Marvel, his character. He's a funny guy too. So I think even if like there's nothing much after those actors, we're probably going to see some really funny things with the Skrulls, and we're probably going to have some like kind of moments with like who are Skrulls and who are not. I'm pretty sure they're going to set it up that way. And honestly, you can do a lot with Skrulls. There are super Skrulls in the comics. Like there are really powerful ones too. You know, there's not just like guys that can turn into somebody else. Like they're I think a deep history with them, and obviously a very deep history with the Kree too. Yeah. And they've kind of are starting to touch a little bit more with the Kree stuff with Captain Marvel, and then like the whole Bangle thing with Miss Marvel, that could be Kree tech as well. Yeah. From what I've read. So like they have a lot that they can explore in the show just beyond Skrulls being someone else. So I think it's exciting from that point of view.
I agree. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I brought up Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You did say we're going to see Baby Rocket. I'm pretty sure that's going to be traumatizing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is their final goodbye. I wonder if they're just going to disappear and we never see them again, or are they all just going to horribly die?
Someone's going to die. Like for me, it would make sense for Drax to be like, I want to be with my wife and daughter again. Like I'll sacrifice myself. For Nebula, like, I mean, I guess she has Gamora, but other than that, she's like, do I want to be here anymore? You know, like there's certain characters that are like, I've had my fill and like, I don't have anybody anymore, so I could sacrifice myself. But Rocket has seen all of his friends die, you know, and he spent those 5 years by himself. So,
could be Rocket.
Could be Rocket, which I hope it's not, but it could be. So it's gonna be good for sure.
Yeah, let's go to Echo. I feel like I know surprisingly very little about Echo.
Yeah, I don't know much as well. All I know is Kingpin has a lot of involvement with her, and that's going to be really exciting. If we're going to get like the ground level superheroes is not as popular right now. We're more into the space and the gods and the mystical lands and the ground stuff we haven't touched upon.
That's
But
why we're not going to get like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and
right, like those guys sucked, honestly. So like we have the best part now in Daredevil. He's coming back. We have Echo, Spider-Man somewhere still swinging around.
yeah.
So is Bucky and Captain America. So like the ground level's coming back. I think you should be excited with that world building because we're gonna get more with the Kingpin type stuff. And Kingpin's like a pretty good villain in the comics. Like he's not just
He's smart.
He's smart. He's crafty. Like if they're gonna build him up to be like a big bad in the MCU, I'm excited because he was in the comics, he was in the video games and all that stuff. He was to Spider-Man. So I don't know much about Echo, but I know I'm excited for the world building part of ground level Marvel because the only part that they did with that was pretty much the Netflix shows, and other than Daredevil, it was pretty bad. So
Yeah. I agree with that because I tried to watch all of them and they were rough.
yeah.
Loki season 2. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Is there so much that can happen with this because of what they're going to release in movies? I have no idea. All I know is that Kang will definitely be there. Didn't we see a reunion between Loki and Mobius?
But it was the Mobius. Mobius didn't recognize him because he was in a different reality. So that'll be Loki's gonna be like, gosh,
Nice and painful.
He's gonna have to find his way back to Sylvie or back to his original reality or something. I don't know how that's gonna work, but even if we just get Loki and Mobius again, it's fun. It's fun stuff. And honestly, out of all their projects that they had, Loki to me seemed like one of the best in Phase 4, just because the acting by Tom Hiddleston, the mystery of it, the world building of it, and then like just the way it looked and the music to it, it's incredible what they did with that show. So I'm very excited to see what they do in season 2. This could be a show that could keep going on forever, I think. And
it's true.
So
I'm going to go back retroactively and fix some things because I didn't say anything. May 5th, 2023 is when Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. I will remember that. It will be a day after my anniversary, so I will probably try to see if I can go see that for anniversary. Echo will be summer 2023, and so will Loki season 2. Moving on to our next movie will be The Marvels, which will be July 28th, 2023. A week after my birthday. So I'm just like I'm pinpointing when I'm going to see things around like major life events. Yeah. I hope this is what I think it is. I hope this is going to be Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel together. Do we know a lot about this?
We know that Miss Marvel will be in it. Carol Danvers will be in it, and then assuming Photon will be in it as well. And I really enjoyed her character from WandaVision. A lot of people had a problem with her. I had no, like, what's up their butts? Like, I thought she was really good. I'm excited for her. Again, like, real life consequences. Carol left her. She probably looked up to Carol. Carol left her. Her mom died. Like, there's a lot going on with her, like, traumatic wise. So I think, once you get into that stuff, like, that makes you more of a well-rounded character. So she'll have some beef with Captain Marvel, I'm sure, but all of them together, pretty darn cool. I don't know who the villain will be. That is something, I'm sure it's Kree of some sort.
Carol Danvers.
Sorry. Yeah, could be. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm kind of hoping they introduce Nova in this movie at some point. I kind of have a feeling he's going to be introduced soon. But I don't know when. So
maybe Guardians 3.
Could be. The guy from what is it? Hamilton. He's also on the other musical movie. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, Anthony Ramos.
Yeah. He was cast in Ironheart pretty recently. But I've always envisioned him as Nova. Like, I think he'd be a good one. So I don't know if he's going to be Nova, probably not, but I think he is going to be introduced somewhat soon. I think this would be a decent movie to introduce him as because he could kind of You can kind of play like a somewhat villain, not like the entirety of the movie, but like this is my henchman that the villain says and sends out Nova. Nova just beats them all up. So I don't know. I think introducing more characters like that would be fun, but they do have a lot of work to do with continuing Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, and Photon. So it's a lot of work to do in this one. So
for sure. Probably one of the ones that I'm most excited for has to be Blade. I actually do secretly enjoy the early 90s and 2000s Blade movies just because like he's a vampire hunter. Like it's rad.
yeah.
Those are so cheesy. But still, what I think they could do with the future of Blade and how they're going to play, like, are we going to get Dracula? Are we going to get the like real mysticism stuff? Because Frankenstein is in it. There's actually a version where Frank Castle, who we know as Punisher, dies and gets brought back as Frankencastle. It's awesome. But we know there's Werewolf at Night.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other guys like that. So maybe Blade opens that door.
For sure.
Maybe not in that movie, but it opens the door to like, hey, they're all here all the time. Like you may not know it, but you live next to a werewolf. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that opens the door. Is it who plays Blade for this? Do we know?
Marhashit. I don't want to butcher his name. Ali is his last name. But yeah, he was actually in the first season of Luke Cage as the main villain. He was also in that movie with Viggo Mortensen that did really well.
Oh, the Green Book.
Green Book. He's a really good actor, and he definitely looks like Blade. And
he was Uncle Aaron in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Nice. Okay, anyways.
He did make his debut at the end of Eternals in the post-credits scene. Apparently that was his voice telling Jon Snow / Dane Whitman / Black Knight to be careful about the sword. So like that was him. But yeah, you're right. It's going to introduce a whole new world. The only concern that I have is they've introduced a pretty massive and convoluted world in this phase with all the gods and everything.
Which didn't even all show up in Thor: Love and Thunder, by the way. Where were the Egyptian gods? Thank you.
Right. Like we're Egyptian gods. We had a dumpling god. But, and hey, noni. Like it's just very it's interesting. Like it doesn't bother me as much because like I'm all in for pretty much everything they do. But when they keep introducing more of this, like, oh, now these monsters, and now like it's going to be like, do we have too many different things going on? So
yes. And Blade will be November 3rd, 2023. I'm gonna be better about that when I say these. So after Blade is Ironheart, which will be fall of 2023. I'm actually kind of excited for this. Do we know anything about it for the MCU? I know comic stuff, but I don't know MCU stuff.
Just that she's going to be in Wakanda forever. It looked like she was building part of her suit there, and she's very smart. And again, Anthony Ramos is probably going to be in Ironheart. I don't know as what. That's about all we know. So.
Whiplash Jr. Just kidding.
I hope not.
Let's move on to Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which will be winter 23 or 24. What are they? Is this going to be like a go back to the past and like what Agatha was, or does she break out?
It could be. I mean, and it could be interesting that way. The past and whatnot deals with magic, even though we kind of dealt. I don't know. I think the most important thing about this show is they could and they probably should introduce hell in some way. Mephisto, because she still had Senior Scratchy the bunny, but I don't think he was just a bunny. I think he was more than just a bunny. So like that would be smart for them to introduce hell like that, since they introduced all the gods. Right. Why not introduce the devil, the MCU devil? So that would be interesting. I think I'd definitely be excited to watch that. But if it was just like, let's see what Agatha's up to now, I'm not really excited about that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
After that is Daredevil Born Again, spring of 2024. I threw in the comic cover because it's actually a storyline that I'm very interested in reading now that I know that we're going to get Daredevil Born Again. Charlie Cox absolutely should have come back. Duh. So glad that he did in No Way Home, even if it was just a brief cameo. Yeah, this is going to be rad, I think.
Yeah,
What we know.
I'm excited, man. It's
Yes. What do we know about this, or do we know anything at all?
Well, we know it's going to be 18 episodes, I believe.
Ooh.
I think in the Born Again series, him and Kingpin had one of their deadliest duels. Even though they had a pretty deadly one at the end of season 3 of Daredevil.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn bloody. So I don't know if they're going to backtrack on that at all, if it's going to be like a whole new thing, or if it's a continuation. All I know is that like you could just stick Daredevil in 18 episodes, and I'd be, I'm on board. So
as long as it's not the Ben Affleck version from the early 2000s, because that was
right, really bad. This was the only show on Netflix that I like demanded people to watch. I was like, please watch Daredevil. It's really good. Like it's definitely in some parts a slow burn, but at least it has like
a burn.
Like you're like, oh, I'm invested in some way. The other ones you just couldn't. Punisher was okay. I'll give Punisher.
Punisher was okay.
Yeah,
Punisher was okay. I like John Bernthal as Punisher. That was good.
They could bring him back, and I'd be like, yes, okay, that's good. Yeah. The other guys can kick rocks. But yeah, if he introduces the ground level of the MCU of like a superhero team, that'd be great. Just don't redo the Defenders.
I'm hoping that we see Spider-Man for the first time since Mind Wiping in Daredevil.
That'd be great.
And it would make sense because he's going to have to be in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't even have to introduce Tom Holland, just Spider-Man. You know, not Peter Parker, just Spider-Man. So, and She-Hulk too. With that is, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of different heroes and villains and costumed shenanigans in She-Hulk. So I'm sure they're gonna reference. Well, at the end of She-Hulk, the trailer, I'm pretty sure that was Daredevil. It could be a trick to our eyes, but pretty sure that was Daredevil. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he interacts with the rest of the MCU. I think that's going to be exciting. So
I agree. Captain America: New World Order comes out May 3rd, 2024. Don't really know what to make of this because I know if you look at the bottom of it and you really look like by the New World Order, it kind of has that Falcon look to it. So I wonder if this will be Falcon / Bucky Barnes' return here as the Captain Americas. But as to what's going to take place, no idea.
I know before Civil War was announced, the original title was Serpent Society with, Madam Hydra. And so, like, I mean, Hydra's, where are they at? We haven't heard from them in a while. So they could really try and make their return. But you could introduce even more Skrulls into this movie. You can introduce the Thunderbolts more into this movie.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different like villains and just bad guys around that they could fight. It's not just like let's create a whole new villain, but we could just be like, oh, let's pull it back from Hydra or the Thunderbolts or these guys or those guys. Like there's a lot of options they could play with. So,
and I like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Thunderbolts is the last thing on here for July 26, 2024, and this will cap out Phase 5. I know we don't know a ton about it, but we do know a ton of people that could potentially be a part of the Thunderbolts. Yeah, I like this. If this is what it turns into, it will be my new favorite movie. Like, you can't just have Zemo, Black Widow Jr., Abomination, Evil Cap, and Ghost. That's not going to sell tickets. I do really think they should throw in Daredevil, or sorry, not Daredevil, Deadpool and Red Hulk, and that would sell it. Like if that was
Yeah.
your main cast of weirdos, it's going to be great because Deadpool is going to clash with literally everyone. And we don't know when we're getting a Deadpool 3, so it would make sense that he shows up before Deadpool 3 somewhere. I don't know, but I like this lineup. Is there anybody that you would throw in here that's not there?
Oh man.
Arnim Zola, perhaps?
Yeah, or maybe Justin Hammer if you could find where he's at.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
He'd
In one of his hammer suits.
Yeah, and just break his neck on the first, like, as soon as he gets out of the car or something.
That'd be so
We
funny.
need some some comedy in here because the only one that I can see that will provide it will maybe be Baron Zemo a little bit. So like you're gonna need to like you said, up the ante a little bit, put somebody in that's recognizable that will sell tickets, and 100% Deadpool would for sure. Like that'd be so exciting. I mean, you got some cool characters, no doubt, but you need like
not enough
liveliness. Yeah. It's gonna be like a really boring movie if you don't have some of this comedic timing and characters that you can play with. So
correct.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
I am too. That's the end of the Phase 5 stuff that was just brought out. Anything from Phase 4 that you want to talk about?
Not really. I just think if we echo back to the entirety of Phase 4, it was very much. It's the most minutes and hours that's in any phase has been Phase 4. It's been the longest of any phase, and it's also been the most like where the heck they going with this kind of phase, introducing gods, and which is like fine and everything, but like where are they going? But I think Kevin Feige said it's pretty much the aftermath of Endgame, everybody dealing with it in their own ways, and we have seen that in a lot of stuff that they've had. So like, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a lull, and you can't just replay the same phases 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like it's not going to work. So like, they introduce gods, they introduce multiverse, they introduce a lot of crap that they can like come back to in a way. So like that's exciting. But I really do think that Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is really going to give a good final send off to Phase 4. So
I agree.
I'm excited for that. Yeah,
I agree. That is the end of our episode. Look out in the future. We will probably be doing a Thor Love and Thunder review. And we would love to have you with us if you're interested. Kyle, what I saw you. Go ahead.
Are we going to talk about Fantastic Four and Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers Kang Dynasty?
We should. Let's wrap with that. So we're almost done, but that was a lovely little preview into if you're interested in doing Thor Love and Thunder review with us, come join us. It's going to be a long one. Anyways, yes, let's talk about that real quick. I need to pull some of that up, unless you want to just go ahead and start talking about it.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. That's coming out Phase 6. That's the beginning of Phase 6. We don't know who the actors are and everything. However, I think they might try to introduce Doctor Doom at the end of Black Panther in a post-credit scene.
Probably.
I think like he's like Kang's up there, but like Kang and Doom, they're kind of known to be like a little bit together sometimes, right? Like, aren't they known to be like?
Sometimes, yeah. It's more Doom and Namor that are known to be
really
for a lot. Yes.
Okay. So I think he's going to be introduced. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. There are rumors out there that Jason Segel is the Thing, and that would be hilarious and awesome. But I don't know if that's true or not.
I still just want David Harbour to be the Thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Except that he's already been Red Guardian. But,
right.
I can dream.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson would be a good thing, but he's already in DC. So, yeah, I know. Well,
and Kevin Hart can be Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. They can sit on his shoulder. After that, in the same year or the year after?
So Fantastic Four is November 8th, 2024. Are you going to talk about Kang Dynasty?
Yeah, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are coming out within a few months of each other, right?
Yes. So Kang Dynasty is May 2nd, 2025, and Secret Wars is November 7th, 2025.
So Don't know much about Kang Dynasty except Kang. And then Secret Wars, from what I've heard and read and know, it's basically just a bunch of superheroes and villains
Yep.
together in an arena type of thing, like Hunger Games, but Marvel. Grandmaster or Kang or whoever will grab all these superheroes and put them in like an arena type of thing. So I would assume Marvel would try to get as many actors as they can back for that movie, like even ones that are done with Marvel. I'd assume that would be like their gigantic, get everybody together. Like Kang Dynasty will be Avengers, right? And then Secret Wars will be Endgame. Everybody.
I really think Secret Wars will be our introduction to the X-Men. I think Secret Wars will be our introduction to the Fantastic Four. Being like everyone is going to get thrown into this. It's going to be Avengers, but it's going to be everybody.
Yeah. And then there's like 7 or 8 other movies that were lined up in that phase, but we don't know what they are yet. So they just announced those 3. So
I know they've said the other ones to look for: Spider-Man sequels, Deadpool 3, Armor Wars, the Wakanda series, Shang-Chi 2, Marvel Zombies, and Wonder Man. So that's kind of all we have in the big question mark zone.
Yeah, that. I would also throw out hopefully an X-Men somewhere in there. I'd throw out hopefully a Nova movie in there. I'd throw out maybe bring back I don't know, Hulk or something. Like I think a Hulk Planet movie would be cool,
like a Planet Hulk movie?
Yeah, like they touched a little bit on it in Ragnarok, but not really, so a Daredevil movie? I don't know. There are plenty of things they could do. So, but these phases so far, from what we've seen, are going to be really, really exciting. So,
Eternals 2, Kyle, here it comes.
I love Marvel so much, but I can't defend that movie in any way. It's just impossible.
It was awful. Yep. Yeah. But anyways, that wraps everything that was from Comic-Con. We hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share. Also message us. Come join us. Come talk with us. We enjoy that. And we will see you all later. Bye, guys.
See ya.